What is going on, guys? Another video review from your favorite YouTube caveman. That'd be me, Jim, still waiting to get a haircut. Today to talk to you guys about Bowser's Fury. Now, I have to say this game is insanely cool. It really plays more like a proof of concept than a full-fledged experience. You'll beat the entire game in about 5 hours or so. But what a thrill ride it is, and it really gets me excited for what the future of Mario could be like, given you guys saw my video on why the Switch needs to be more powerful. This is the reason why. I want to see more of this bigger, louder, more exciting, more dynamic worlds, just like we saw in Bowser's Fury. Before I get into today's video, you guys know what to do. All you gotta do is subscribe. Super easy, super easy. Takes you just a couple seconds. I really appreciate it. Bowser's Fury is an interesting concept that really got my creative mind going. I think back to when I was a kid. I went to Bookstop, which was the local bookstore for me growing up, and reading GamePro and seeing screenshots of Mario 64 and thinking that you were spending the entire time exploring the castle. I didn't realize you were taking paintings and teleporting to other worlds. But in my head, it was this giant open world, one giant castle, kind of Resident Evil style, where you'd walk through like the dining room and then you'd walk through to like this other area. There'd be a pool in the back and you had to kind of solve all these puzzles to progress through. That's what I thought it was. I didn't really understand at the time. I love the game, but that's not what it was. I've always dreamed of this long, giant, open world Mario game that isn't necessarily compartmentalized like we see in Mario 64, like we see in Mario Odyssey. Definitely not level-based design like we're really, accustomed to traditional Mario levels. I want this open, exploring world where you can stand on the mountain and see something way out in the horizon and go to it. I think that would be really cool. That's what Bowser's Fury does. And it does it so well. Not just in terms of like draw distance or anything like that, but an actual progression for you to get to each other area. It requires you to do things. And unlike other Mario games, where there is a significant amount of hand-holding of like, okay, level 1-1 is go get to the star at the top of the hill. Level 1-2, race Koopa the Quick. Level 1-3, turn into a bee and attack this. You still have some of that, but it's a lot more for you to explore. Again, as I said, it's definitely shrunken in scope, so don't expect these sweeping, broad, giant worlds where you're going to spend hours trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. You're not going to have those huge explorative eureka moments like you would in a game like Skyrim, for example. But you are going to get a taste of that using familiar Mario places, sounds, sights, and the feels. And I think that's what really makes this game so special, is you are familiar with how these enemies look and feel and fight and what to do with them. But when you put them in an open world system and they begin to interact with each other and interact with you in ways that you aren't familiar seeing them, you can use them to explore different things. And no example is greater than Bowser himself. Bowser, this giant menacing monster who is going to appear on a routine day-night cycle, essentially, and really mess with you when you least want him to. And you'll be in the middle of doing something. You'll be like, oh, I think I need to go get 5 of these coins, or, oh, it appears that there's a locked cage. I got to go find the key. Things like that. You will be doing that, and Bowser will show up and he will put all that on hold because now you have to deal with Bowser. In of itself, Bowser, also while attacking you, if manipulating his attacks correctly, will unlock additional areas for you to explore. He can destroy certain blocks that you can't. He will summon unique enemies that have unique properties that can be used in different ways. And you can start to see that this game is now much more than just a level, but it's a fully fledged simulation in which piranha plants and Goombas and bullet bills are all interacting, fighting together against you. And Bowser, of course, being this evil conductor, if you want to think of him that way, kind of coming in whenever he wants to rain on your parade. it really adds a lot of fun and exploring and replayability in that sense, because I doubt any two experiences will be the same because there's so much dynamic gameplay to this. And I really, really like that. So I was on a level and it was clear I had to get a key to open a cage, and Bowser showed up. And I'm like, well, should I go deal with him? I think I'm kind of halfway through this. I kind of want to finish it. And, the enemies that I need to fight morph into these other types of evil enemies because, Bowser doesn't just transform himself, but he transforms the world. He spawns this other block to attack me with. I'm able to use that block to jump to another place, and I shortcut the entire level, and I got the key way before I probably should have. Really, really fun moment for me that I was like, wow, I'm using these game systems in a creative, inventive way. It's not the traditional Mario experience where you have to run to this platform, hit this block, climb up the flagpole, jump to this tree, and it's very linear in its execution. But this was much more dynamic. And as you progress through each level and complete these small amount of tasks, the individual levels will change too. More tasks will become available. The world will begin to shift and morph. So it encourages you to come back and explore again. You will get different, I don't want to say different abilities because there's only a handful of abilities, but you're basically going to be able to have a stock of your traditional power-ups like the Mario Bell, the Cat Bell, or the Tanuki Feather, or the Fire Flower, the Bullet Boomerang, the Boomerang, or just a regular mushroom. You're not going to unlock all of them in one place, but coming back to other islands, getting a power-up that you shouldn't have natively have there does change those experiences, and sometimes is actually required to progress. So it was very clear to me in the first level that I needed to hover over to another area. I'm like, oh, I know I can't do this with Cat Mario. I need to go get the Tanuki Feather. And I found it, well, the leaf, I guess. And I came back later and I was able to complete it. So this does even encourage that of kind of, I don't want to say gearing up, because that really, really, makes it sound much more than it is. But the idea that you need to come back later when you're stronger, a core tenet of an open world type experience where, hey, you got to a place you probably shouldn't be there yet, but remember it. Come back later when you have the right gear and you'll blow right through it. Very, very, very different way of looking at a Mario game, and I really enjoyed that experience. I'm sure a lot of people enjoy the traditional level-based stuff where, hey, it's a vertical or a horizontal side scroller traditional, get to the end, or it's much more hand-holding like Mario 64. It's like the world is designed for you to complete this one specific task. You see a lot of that in Mario Odyssey where there's just so many things to do. But I guess the difference with Mario Odyssey is you don't really need any power-ups per se, and it's just you platforming the level. There's really no unique way. Maybe New Donk City, because it's really compartmentalized, unlike some of the other levels with really high amounts of verticality and kind of secret tunnels and areas to explore. Maybe that comes the closest to what Bowser's Fury is, but Bowser's Fury takes that concept and multiplies it by 100. And then, of course, building up your collection of these cat shines to become large enough to actually not just evade Bowser, but then confront him, puts the level on an entirely new scale because now you're massive and you can basically walk around and see everything that you were struggling with before. So these little tiny levels, these giant massive levels rather, become these little tiny levels as you're this giant Mario looking down on basically platforming things you had to do before, and you just step over the entire level with ease. Really gives it a great sense of scale, and defeating Bowser, opening up additional areas. Eventually you get, your dinosaur companion, not Yoshi, should have been Yoshi, but that's okay, who you can use to ride around and explore additional areas. And then there are these challenges that are just scattered throughout that, again, are never explained. You just kind of have to figure it out. It's like, hey, I'm sailing around and I notice there's like something in the horizon. Let me go check it out. You check it out and it's some sort of puzzle, some sort of race, get in a Koopa shell, knock down a wall to unlock a secret area to explore, whatever. It's this sense of awe and wonder that I think a lot of us feel when an open world game is executed well. And Bowser's Fury does it phenomenally, phenomenally well. I think this is a huge, huge, huge win for Nintendo. I know it was bundled in with Mario 3D World, which wasn't the most iconic Mario game by any stretch of the imagination, but I really hope a lot of people give this a chance, if nothing else for the Bowser's Fury, because it's something unlike you've ever experienced in a Mario game, and it leaves me wanting so much more. I'll be so curious to see whatever happens with the Switch 2 or the Switch Pro or whatever the next iteration of Nintendo Mario experience is. I would love to see a game really owning this concept and taking it to the next level, because I think that's where we're going with this. And I think it's going to make it so much more rewarding seeing these familiar faces in very, very unfamiliar territory. So I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you checked out Bowser's Fury. What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Look forward to hearing from each of you. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.